This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Skating Penguin Network Mailbag. It's been a while since the listeners have heard my voice, but I am back. I am Garrett Bahana, alongside the two anchors of this podcast, Snail and Robbie Noggle. We are here for part 2 of the Mailbag this week. We are answering more of your questions as we get ever closer to the 2024 NHL trade deadline, with rumors swirling and well, we'll see if Jake Gensel and others do get traded between now and the March 8th deadline. But until then, we're going to answer more of your questions. Question number 1 for part 2 comes from Brian, and we're looking straight to the offseason with this one. This question goes to Robbie. Brian says, I think this offseason we'll have a new coaching staff. Any specific personnel, Robbie, that you'd like to see added if there are changes made to the coaching staff?
So I'm going to work under the assumption that Mike Sullivan will return next season. So the head coach will remain in place. But as for the assistants, I do not think this would happen, because I think he wants to be a head coach. But old Brucey Boudreau out there to run the power play, I think would be fantastic. But again, I think he wants to be a head coach in the NHL. And I think with openings coming about, he'll probably at least be in that conversation. So other than that, if Mike Sullivan would leave, Boudreau is a guy that I would like to see maybe considered for that top job that way, because I think that maybe it's fate that Bruce Boudreau, this guy that we loathed all those years, is destined to be the head coach of the Penguins one day. But I think Mike Sullivan will be back, so Bruce Boudreau in there to run the power play would be fun, however unlikely that is. I'd like younger, fresh meat kind of on the bench. None of this retread stuff that gets so annoying time after time. And I understand saying that about endorsing Bruce Boudreau, then saying that is definitely a little hypocritical, but I'd love to see some fresh blood get younger in that coaching department as well. I see no reason that some of those there's definitely fresh meat out there that can rejuvenate, that have different ideas and can incorporate different strategies that kind of wake up not just the Penguins right now, but looking toward the future as well. Question number 2 going over to Snail, still from Ryan here. Since it's a seller's market, would this be a good time to kind of do what Washington did last season?
Personally, I'm not ready to commit to that. I would say the closer we get to March 8th, where they're at in the standings, how the team is, let's just say how they're rolling at that time. But let's say they're out of it. If they're firmly out of it, yeah, why not? We saw what Monahan went for. I mean, Monahan, great player, was a tremendous talent when he first broke into the league. Injuries have plagued him. He's a 3rd or a 4th liner at best right now. Still can produce, but you saw what he went for, and I'm thinking, God, a guy like Riley Smith or a Rust or a Raquel, as much as I don't want to see Rust go, I love Rusty, but that type of player the Penguins have could probably fetch, a decent return with the way the market is right now, and with these teams that are bound to make runs deep into the postseason. If they're out of it, let's just say, yeah, I could see them maybe taking a page out of Washington's book as to what they did last year. All right, Garrett, question 3 coming at you from Brian, and he asks, What we've all been wondering: how was the Neck Deep show, and how was the Silent Planet one? Did you hop in the pit?
So I went to see Neck Deep. It's another pop punk band that came. They came to Pittsburgh Stage AE last Wednesday. It was fantastic. One of the best parts about the whole show was one of the openers. It's a band called Drain, and I think they're from California. Uh, the lead singer of that band, I mean this in the best possible way, dude had like straight up main character syndrome. I mean that as a 100% compliment to this lead singer. Dude was like, again, I'm not trying to insult or insinuate, but if he was backstage blowing some snow on with a credit card, it it definitely he was on another level. This lead singer for this band, it was wild. Dude was hopping into the crowd. It was a straight up wild scene. And I think they were the last band before Neck Deep came out, and oh my god, it was ridiculous. This dude was crazy. I loved his energy. Neck Deep was great. I saw Silent Planet like a couple of days before with my brother-in-law. Here's what I'll say: I am not a pit person. I will not be in the mosh pit. I am 25 years old and I have the body of an 85-year-old man. Uh, if I can, as I did with the Neck Deep show, I went to the VIP section because I am a very important person, but I paid for an upgrade to have seats instead of standing in general admission. So I'd rather sit for a concert for 3.5 hours than be in the pit and get all crazy. But being in the pit, hey, if that's your thing, if you vibe with being in the pit, that is more power to you. I don't think I could ever do it. I value my back, and the less pain my back has, the better. So I upgraded at Stage AE for the premium seats. But both shows were great. I am not a pit person, but again, if that's your vibe, hey, I'm not going to stop you from enjoying some high energy music. Question 4, as we go back to Brian here, simple question, Robbie, one that could really span a lot of different teams, a lot of different players. Who is the most underrated player in the NHL today?
You're muted, Robbie.
Yeah, great question. For many years, the easy choice was Sasha Barkov in Florida. Now that they've made that run, I don't know if that can really be um, the choice anymore. He's still underrated, but most underrated, I don't know about that. Anze Kopitar took that mantle for a good many years as well. Looking around the league, there's so many of those guys I feel like in Vancouver that nobody talks about. We all know Elias Pettersson is great. I still feel like he flies under the radar a little bit. At Pittsburgh, it always kind of felt like Jake Gensel was there in that role a little bit. There's so many great players around the league. Sebastian Aho. It's more the smaller market guys that kind of get that. I feel like Jason Robertson in Dallas fits that role pretty well himself. I'm going to go with a guy that doesn't really, again, it's going to hurt to say this really bad. Up there in the Pacific Northwest, I think it has to be Jared McCann. The dude, like Seattle, they kind of had a slide back this year, but Jared McCann is, and again, it's only their third year. He is their leading scorer in franchise history. He is looking to be the leading scorer again this year. Everything that made Penguins mad about letting him go has come to fruition. And being in Seattle, a growing hockey market, it just feels like he does not get the credit he deserves. As you have some big names that flash out up there. Matty Beniers, obviously, we talked about on this show, how good he is. But Jared McCann, I just feel like still flies so far under the radar. He is exactly what Penguins fans were afraid he was going to be when they let him walk for relatively nothing. So I'm going to stick right now. I'm going to say Jared McCann as the most underrated player in the NHL.
I got another one for you quick. I don't know if you guys ever watch many Minnesota Wild games, but Matt Boldy dude's a stud. That dude is an awesome hockey player.
Isn't Boldy only a rookie though?
It's his second year.
Who's the really good rookie they have too? That's lighting it up there. I can't think of his name.
Brock Faber,
that's right.
defenseman.
Yeah,
yeah. So they got a sneaky good team. If they weren't in cap hell with those buyouts from Parise and Suter, I mean they'd be a contender every year, especially with the youth pushing through. But that Matt Boldy kid is unreal.
Yeah, that's a good choice as well. Question number 5. We're switching over to Kim Larson here. I make my pizzas from bottom to top, and I put tomato sauce, cheese, pepperoni, Parma ham, mozzarella, and gorgonzola on. My wife loves pizza with potatoes and cream cheese, so I make that for her. But you can buy pizzas here in Denmark. Oh, where tuna and shrimp are toppings.
Okay, we have to take a step back here and analyze. This is a loaded question here.
It's not even really a question.
No, it's more of a statement talking about
it was an assault.
So first, I mean, that's a lot of stuff to put on a pepperoni.
His is a lot.
But that's not where I want to start. My wife loves pizza with potatoes and cream cheese. That's where I want to start this conversation. I love potatoes and I love cream cheese. Not once in my 25 years of existence on this planet have I ever thought of putting potatoes or cream cheese on pizza dough.
I have to ask you, being that you're from Western Pennsylvania, have you ever had pierogi pizza?
That's a good question.
I can already tell he's lying.
I've had pierogies and I've had pizza. I don't.
Okay, because that is something that we've had around here.
That makes sense. Yeah, like
yes, that is okay. I need to know if this is like diced potatoes or what's going on here.
That's what I thought this was when I was reading the question. I thought he was putting diced potatoes and cream cheese on pizza dough.
I'm gonna open the floor because this is Snail's question, because I think we had something about this either Monday or last week, Snail, where we talked about tuna on pizza, and I think both of you and I had the same exact reaction.
No, I believe he asked us a question. Maybe if it was last week
it must have been last week then. Yes.
He slid in there very slyly something about tuna, and I asked him to elaborate. Why would you say that? Is there a pizza over there that does in fact have tuna on it?
Yes, that's okay.
And here we have some sort of clarity. First of all, Kim, you got to know by now, pizzas are a hot button topic on this podcast. Like, it almost comes to virtual fisticuffs at times. You should see the group chat sometimes. Our group chat, there's various food items, and pizza has been actually recently pizza surfaced in the group chat, and there was some harsh words from Garrett towards me. So with that, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Being from the Pacific Northwest, where we don't have the richest history with pizza, I feel like you could point the finger maybe at us a bit here in the United States, maybe us in Portland, as to, pizzas have become more of a vessel to transport protein and nutrients to the biome. It is no longer about the rich history of pizza and keeping it simple and the traditional styles of pizza. That is long gone out here in the Pacific Northwest. So I might have a little bit of a different take. Honestly, cream cheese, I don't know about if I would ever put cream cheese on pizza dough. I could understand maybe in another country that doesn't have the tradition of pizza. I'm going to go into this a bit. What is cream cheese? It's a fatty dairy product, right? Like, and a pizza is topped with cheese, mozzarella cheese. Again, fatty dairy product. I could see them. I can understand maybe the science of using it, but from the United States, with our tradition of pizza, that is not something that ever would be considered here in ever. Like, it would never be even like a bubble of thought in one of our heads. So potatoes, I'm sure someone out there has done some sort of potato on pizza. I'm surprised with you guys in Western PA and with your Permani Brothers sandwiches, no one's put like French fries on a pizza.
Oh, you can find French fries on a pizza in Pittsburgh somewhere.
There you go, French fries on a pizza.
I'd
That's
bet my life on it. I'd bet $5,000 that you can find a.
He'd bet the house. So French fries of potato. There you go. I wouldn't be surprised if someone out there has gone as far to make some sort of like a scalloped potato type topping on a pizza. That's just where I'm coming from. I think that initially when reading this, we were quite triggered, not so much by the potatoes and cream cheese, but it was the tuna and shrimp on a pizza. I mean, we've all had anchovies, right? We can all
No.
agree that. Okay,
No, 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 no,
So
no.
we're
Like how I
familiar-
love how you just casually were like, "Oh, we've had all anchovies," and me and Garrett like, "Absolutely not. We have not done that."
Okay, so we all know of anchovies on pizza, do we not? Like,
Yeah, that way. Okay, yeah.
so a bit shrimp. That's a little different. Anchovies are really dehydrated, dry, crispy little fish that are cooked onto the pizza. Shrimp is like a poppy, it's like it's the insect of the ocean. Totally different. Tuna fish never could do that. I'm sorry. A tuna fish sandwich, sure. On a pizza, I'm imagining it on there with the sauce, maybe with cheese on top of it. I feel like that would send me to the toilet. So, anyways, that's my thoughts on this question. Like I said, much like a gyro or a taco, pizza has become over here where I'm from just a vessel to transport nutrients and proteins. But I know that these guys here, my beloved co-hosts here, might have quite a different take, and I'll pass it over to you guys.
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree. Tuna, I like tuna, not in that fashion. I will, yeah, there's other ways to get tuna into my body rather than pizza. I can't really do that. Kim, I mean, that's a lot of stuff on a pizza. Not that, like, I'm a fine with loaded pizzas, but like, that's just a lot of stuff. It feels like. I don't know what Parma ham is. I'm sure it's like a prosciutto or something like that, which is fine.
It's a cured ham.
Okay, yeah, so it's that's fine, completely fine. Any kind of protein, any kind of like pork is probably fine on a pizza. What would you guys think of like a gyro pizza? Like you could get away with lamb on a pizza.
Oh yeah.
But the potatoes and cream cheese, don't know if I could get down with that.
What
Exactly.
about shrimp, Robbie?
No, nothing out of the sea. Sorry. That's just me, but whatever.
Garrett, you can't just stay quiet during this whole thing. You gotta let it. Put yourself out there.
Seafood does not belong on pizza.
Yeah.
I will agree with Robbie. Pork, poultry, turkey, chicken. I will put that absolutely. I'll put that on a pizza. Tuna is absolutely disgusting. It's one of the great abhorrences of our time or any time in recorded history. Tuna is one of the foulest things that has ever been created in this universe. What else? He also mentioned shrimp. Yeah, I like fried shrimp occasionally during the holidays, but no, that absolutely does not belong on pizza.
Wait a second. During the holidays,
Yeah,
why
I
would
don't
shrimp
have
be a holiday specific thing.
for me it is. I'm not a big shrimp person. I like fish. I like cod. I like tilapia, but like other types of seafood, like I'm not super big on crab or shrimp, but I like my relatives during Christmas Eve will make a fried shrimp platter,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's bussin'. It is straight bussin' with the sauce.
Don't do that.
I was gonna say, are you one of those people that gets Chinese food on Christmas Eve? That's
No,
what
no.
I immediately was thinking, but no, you guys actually cook up the scrimps.
Yeah. It is as Robbie said, bussin' with the sauce. It is so good.
Wait, do you use the cocktail sauce with them?
I'm not a big cocktail. Like we've had fish sandwiches recently because of the fish fry season. I don't.
Oh yeah.
I don't
Fish
like.
fry season.
Wait, you don't know what that is?
No, I'm from the Pacific Northwest. It's fish fry season every day of the week.
That's fair.
That's
That's fair.
that is true. Yeah, that is true.
I'll give you that one.
So yeah, I mean, around here, fish fries around this time of year, around the start of the Lenten season, are big because there's a big religious population here. So that's where the fish fries come in. But I don't like cocktail sauce. I love tartar sauce. I could put tartar sauce on anything basically.
Oh, dude, they don't make a really good vegan tartar sauce. I miss a good tartar sauce, honestly. Very underrated condiment, and it's something you don't really realize you miss until you can't have it anymore. All right, are we closed? Are we closing the case with this Kim Larson stuff? I think we gave him enough feedback.
For now, until he responds with something egregious next week.
Yeah, let us know what you put on just about anything else, and we'll talk about it. Let's see, Garrett. Question 6 coming from our good pal Edward Beckham, and he asks, why do so many NHL games never start on time? I'm not used to this. In England, if a sport starts at say 3:00, it starts at 3:00. They're about their punctuality across the pond, and we are not.
So yes, I noticed that. Were you guys watching the Flyers game this past Sunday?
Yes. Well, the
That
Penguins against the Flyers?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
That
watch
game
every
started
game.
that started like 15 minutes later or something, didn't it?
I have that's when Edward asked this question because I got a notification on my phone. I'm sitting here in my room. I'm starting work. I start work at 3:30, and I think the Penguins like puck drop was scheduled for 3:30 or around there. So I'm sitting here with my TV on, and it's like 3:50. It's like 10-4, and this game, like they're still doing in studio stuff because the game was on TNT. And
Yeah.
I see Edward pose this question in the mailbag, and I'm like, you know what? This delay for some reason it pissed me off. Like I already know, like most NHL games, the puck drop it's advertised for like 7 p.m. Eastern, but the puck drop doesn't actually occur until like at least 7:08, 7:09 Eastern. So I get it, but Edward's right. Like I watch the Premier League. If a game is starting at 3 p.m. Eastern here, like kickoff is 3 p.m. Eastern, and it's a 90-minute game. Basically, 2 hours later, that you get a halftime intermission. That's it. Game is over. It is swift. It is punctual, like Snail mentioned. And the fact that I had to sit here, wait 20 minutes for this game to start after its scheduled start time, said 3:30. That just irritated the hell out of me.
That's fair. Yeah, I kind of agree, and I understand where he's coming from because over there, like when the kickoff is 12, that game is kicking off at 12.
I will say the NFL, to their credit, like the NFL, it starts
Yeah.
at 1:00. Major League Baseball, when they say first pitch is 7:05, first pitch is 7:05.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know what the NHL's deal is, but at least adjust your start times and say, give the audience a warning. Say puck drop is scheduled for 7:08, 7:09, 10 after 7, whatever. But yeah, I was sitting there waiting for this game to start. And, I had a heart attack watching the game as it was because, I mean, that game was absolutely ridiculous. But anywho, yeah, I completely agree with Edward and anyone else who shares that sentiment. I don't know what the NHL is doing, but this is the most ass backwards professional sports league in North America. So,
do you think it's because they do like 2 anthems sometimes?
But the anthems all they take up what? Both of them combined, if you do "O Canada" and the Star Spangled Banner, take up maybe what 90 seconds, 2 minutes max. You know, so I don't know. It's like it probably has something to do with advertisers and whatnot, and the NHL getting the almighty advertising dollar. But
probably that too.
I'm a grumpy old curmudgeon when it comes to that. Yeah, if it says 7:00 or 3:00, whenever the game's supposed to start, that's when I want the game to start. As we move on, we go back to Kim Larson here. Question number 7 for you, Robbie. We're talking about the trade deadline here. It seems that only 4 players are safe from being dealt: Sid, Gino, Carlson, and Letang. Do you agree with that statement from Dubas, or should some of them also be tradable? Are there other players not listed that you would not trade, such as maybe a Marcus Pettersson? Of course, as Kim mentions, it all depends on the return of said trade.
Pettersson is the guy that when I saw the rumors that they may be taking calls on him was one of the ones I was like, no, I think you have to put him in that category of no touch. Guys like that, they've been so lucky with Dumoulin and then kind of segueing directly into Marcus Pettersson playing that role. Those guys are so hard to find, and I do not like the idea of that considering moving on from him. I just cannot buy into it. I will not buy into it. I think Pettersson has to be added to that list. Obviously, I think Gensel would be on that list if they could get some guarantees that he would that like the contract was obviously going to get done. And I'm not really even sold on selling or trading him, even if the price is there, because unless he strictly says that he does not plan on re-signing or he does not want to re-sign, I just think that you have to try as hard as possible. Even if you don't make the playoffs, that gives you 3-ish months to get a deal done. I would put Gensel in there as well if I was running the show, but I would absolutely, knowing that Pedersen, he is still cheap right now for another year. Hopefully he wants to stay in Pittsburgh. I would keep him. I would put him in that no trade category as well. Question from Kim for Snail. We keep Sullivan as our coach next season, but change the assistant coaches. Would Gerard Gallant be someone who could help us? I think he did a great job with the teams he has coached.
The one thing with Gallant is he has a short shelf life. It's kind of seemed. I thought he got an unfair boot out of Florida, but that team was kind of in turmoil at the time. They weren't the Florida that they are right now. We all know what he did in Vegas, what he did with the Rangers, but. To your question, Kim, it's not someone that I would have circled to bring into the coaching staff. Like we need a power play guy. Gallant historically is not an X's and O's type coach. I think that Gerard Gallant might have been someone I would have circled had years ago the Penguins decided to part with Sully and maybe go in a bit of a different direction. Just maybe because it seems that he can galvanize a group and get quite a bit out of maybe let's just call them like maybe an underperforming team or a team with low expectations. But yeah, sorry, I can't really agree with you on this one. I don't have Gallant circled, but someone I do certainly have circled that Robbie alluded to earlier in one of his questions was Bruce Boudreau, power play guy. He just looks like he fits in Pittsburgh, doesn't he? Like he'd love himself a Permane sandwich with potatoes on it and coleslaw, coming into the game with a little bit of mustard or something on his shirt like he's done in the past. I just feel like he would be awesome behind the bench right there next to Sully. I've kind of half jokingly been like we should get Matt Cook. He's coaching in the ECHL right now and for the like Newfoundland Greyhounds, I think, or something. I wouldn't mind someone like him being behind the bench in some capacity. Those are two guys that I would have. I would have Matt Cook on my list before Gerard Gallant being behind the bench. I think Gallant's going to get another head coaching position at some point. But anyways, yeah, maybe if the Penguins had, like I said, gone a different direction maybe a few years ago, when I think maybe they had a little bit of an opportunity to kind of retool on the fly, maybe, but didn't happen. And here we are. So let's move on here to question 9, going over to Garrett. And Kim Larson asks, she says, I have been sick, so I've missed one episode. I asked a question about All-Star jerseys and which 3 were your favorites. Don't know if you discussed it.
I don't know if we did discuss the All-Star jerseys. I think we might have in an earlier episode. But for the sake of conversation here, I hope he's referring to the 2024 All-Star jerseys, because they are loud. Just taking a quick look, I'm forgetting what they look like because
we did talk about them. The Carl's Jr. logo.
Okay, yeah. They are very, very loud designs. Not my cup of tea personally. Do I have a favorite amongst the 4 here? I guess the white. I think the white would probably be my favorite. I don't know what the NHL was doing going with the orange jersey with orange logo. Also, the red jersey with the orange logo looked kind of weird.
Designed by Justin Bieber.
That's right. Yeah, the jerseys were designed by Bieber, right? They were trying to do like get the celebrities involved, that sort of thing for crossover appeal. The All-Star stuff. That's not for me. Who was the player? Who was the player that got booed during the All-Star skills competition? Kucherov. Yeah. The All-Star stuff apparently isn't for Kucherov either, judging by the effort that he was giving during the skills competition. But it's not for me. It's for it's probably for kids younger than I am. So it is what it is. All right, question 10 as we go back to Robbie here. This question has some renewed context, especially after the little streak the Penguins have been on recently. Robbie, are you, Snail and Robbie, myself included, still positive about the Penguins' playoff chances, or are you about to join me and Basement Garrett over on the dark side?
Team
Vibes
positivity.
are climbing, baby. Vibes are high. I cannot tell you how awesome it was to wake up on Wednesday morning, because I went to bed thinking they're not winning this hockey game. No, just they weren't winning. I just felt like they weren't winning that hockey game. The way they started on fire and did not score, and then Vancouver was the one that got the first lead. I figured they're not winning this hockey game, but vibes are climbing. Stonks are up. We are climbing, baby.
No, we are not. No, we are not.
Climbing back. We're a cup on. Let's put it that way.
Garrett,
Cup
no.
on.
No.
Like, it was the vibes are high. Team positivity. I partially take credit for their uptick in play.
Oh God, here
Robbie
we go.
and I both. If there's a plenty of room on this train that is a chugging, Garrett. So, this is like in the movie Elf when they couldn't get Santa's sleigh up because they weren't believing in him. Same scenario. You could hop on the train and we could take off. And what'd you say? Cup. Robbie, what were you saying about the cup? Cup on.
Stanley Cup on, baby.
Stanley Cup on. I like that.
You guys are delusional. This team needs to sell hard, sell high, and retool for next season with a blank slate.
You're delusional. That's like they just beat the best team in the NHL.
Yeah, it doesn't mean much considering they've lost a bunch of like a dozen games and like with overtime losses. They're still a bad, flawed team, and I think they should sell and sell high.
They're playing every other day with back-to-backs on the weekend for the next month. They are going to find a chemistry they have not yet displayed this season, and they're only going to get better and better. They're taking that third Metro spot.
There's no way, because not only do you lose Jake Gensel, who's going to be traded, you're going to lose Brian Rust, who was put on injured reserve today. So your top six looks like half of it is an ECHL lineup, half of it is a bunch of old veterans. I'm telling you,
veterans, Hall of Famers, mind you. And I got two names for you: Valtteri Pusti and Drew O'Connor.
Sell Eller, sell Riley Smith, sell Nedeljkovic. If the right offer comes along, sell Jari, sell Gensel. You think I'm exaggerating or playing for the podcast? I am not. I sell all of them. Absolutely. Have Bloomquist come up here for an audition. Just this team.
Sell him too, Garrett. Right? Sell him too.
Sell all of these. I mean this with the utmost seriousness.
In fact, sell the Penguins.
Well,
bring the Kansas City rumors back up.
I wouldn't be opposed to that either. Honestly, I'd rather them.
Oh my God!
I'd rather them leave the city. Sell everybody again. I think, as Kim mentioned earlier, not named Letang, Carlson, Crosby, or Malkin. And then, like I said, start fresh with some extra cap space. Hey, if you can get a team to take the Ryan Graves contract too, throw in a sweetener, throw in like a mid-round draft pick if you have to, sell him too, and we can start fresh in the offseason. End of rant.
I know you didn't mean all that.
I absolutely 100% did mean. I meant all of it. You think I'm lying? Everyone might think I'm lying, but I want them to sell just about everybody.
When they're in the first round of the playoffs and they're playing probably like the Rangers or something, you're gonna be tarpless down on the Allegheny River, just absolutely crippled, pumped up more than anybody. You're gonna be on the positivity train. It's okay, Garrett. I can see it from here. You don't have to, you don't have to peacock around with all that. It's okay.
Anyway, moving on. Question number 11 for Snail. How many goals will Austin Matthews score this season?
I think he's at 52, which is crazy. He's having kind of a hell of a season, honestly, which I hate because I hate the Leafs. But I don't know. Is it maybe? Let's say he scores 10 more before the end of the season. So we'll put him at 62. I don't think he's getting 70.
You don't. Nah, he's scoring more than 10 goals before the end of the season.
I don't think he is.
That would be a significant drop in the pace that he's at right now.
Yeah, I know. He's going to score like 100 goals this season.
No, not that, but I could see him getting 70.
What's the single season record? Anyone know off the top of their head?
Something Gretzky has.
Isn't it? Gretzky had
92 or something like that.
Oh, well, that makes sense given the
Yeah, he ain't
era.
getting 92.
Yeah. Who's going next? What is it? Question. Okay.
Oh, sorry. No, I was looking up, trying to find what is the record for.
Oh,
goals
okay.
In a Wayne Gretzky, he. This can't be right. It doesn't matter. Gretzky has it. It's something that'll never be broken. Let's move on here to question number 12, going over to Garrett, the pessimist. Kim Larson asks, does Garrett have a Pittsburgh potty in his basement? Circling back to the Pittsburgh toilet. Let's go.
I do. And for those listening in and around the Pittsburgh area who live here, who have grown up here, I don't know if it's just me, my house. I'm pretty sure other old houses had this feature too. Does anyone else have a pencil sharpener that's like attached to their wall in their basement? Because it's right next to my toilet. It's right next to my Pittsburgh potty. I have an old style pencil sharpener. For some reason, the house that I grew up in, the house that I've been in for basically the last 22-ish years of my life, we bought it off of an elderly lady who passed away. Her family sold the house to my parents. So this wasn't my like family house. We bought this house, and there's a pencil sharpener like attached to the wall, the brick wall. For some reason, I have no idea why, and it's in the basement of all places. But yeah, not only is there a Pittsburgh potty, but there's like a 20th century pencil sharpener attached to the brick wall of my basement. Don't know why, but
That's sick though.
I get a lot done down there.
I guess I don't know what was going on down there that facilitated the need of a pencil sharpener. Again, of all places, putting that in the basement. But
the answer is probably nothing. They just had it and they had to put it somewhere.
maybe
And that's where it ended. Out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. They just felt like it had to be somewhere.
I bet you someone was doing crossword puzzles on the John, and he was just like, you know what I need? Pencil sharpener.
How close is it to the toilet?
Like within reach?
No, it's not within reach.
Okay.
It's within 10, 15 feet of the toilet.
Is it like right as you come downstairs?
No, you'll walk down the stairs and right to your left. You make a left. You'll see that the bathroom is there, and to the left of the bathroom door is the pencil sharpener.
You should move it to near the toilet just to make people ask questions.
Yeah, the people that he brings to his basement.
Yeah, all of my victims who I do disgusting NSFW things to in my basement.
Nice.
Robbie's like, all right, way to take the conversation in that direction. Alrighty, we will go back to. All right, this is the question that I've been waiting for. It's more of a statement. Question 13 for Robbie.
Yeah.
Edward Beckham. Going back to the English accent that Robbie put on, I think a week ago. The English accent was certainly something. Edward enjoyed it, so I enjoyed that Edward enjoyed it, and we didn't lose a listener over Robbie's awful English accent. A very American impression of the English accent. Most of us aren't as posh as that.
I can't believe that he even thought that was posh, because I know I've heard a posh accent, and I didn't think that was a posh accent. I know that like posh accents are usually what you hear out of like David Beckham and stuff like that. But hey, I'll take the win. We're chalking that one up as a dub. So vibes continue to climb on the Penscast. I'll take it. I mean, that's coming from an Englishman, so I got to count that as a win. So
that's a big dub. That's a big dub for you, boss, man.
What anybody else says, hey, I have it on record. I will save this email. I will print out that line explicitly saying that from an Englishman that he found it, he enjoyed it. So, suck on that. All right, question number 14 from Kim. Really getting a European flavor to this mailbag here, but Kim asks, do any of you remember the legendary Benino Punjabi goal call? And I think that, I think we all do, but I'll let Snell take that.
This one. Dude, yeah, that was
everybody.
That was,
as soon as I saw that question, I'm like, I can replay it in my head word for word.
I know. Sometimes that just lives in my head rent free when I'm like stressed out or something. I just like he goes off. I don't know. It's an OCD.
It's like one of those like name a moment that lives rent free in your head, and like that's it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the good old days. The HBK line humming. God, who was that against?
That was San Jose, wasn't it?
No, it was Washington Capitals.
It was the overtime. It was okay. It was the overtime goal then.
Oh, the good old days. I'm sure Garrett hates them, Mr. Pessimist. But Robbie, you remember the good old days, right?
I remember the good old days.
Garrett, do you remember that call? Where were you when you heard that call?
Well, considering Snail probably thinks that I was like 3 years old at the time, I was in kindergarten at the time of that goal call, and I remember coming home off the school bus and my dad greeting me at the school bus, and he said, "You have to listen to this goal call of the game from last night." I was in bed the night before because my bedtime was 8 p.m. sharp because I had to get up for kindergarten the next day. So after I got off the school bus, he gave me the iPad, as all parents do to their toddlers, and I watched the Punjabi goal call, and I was like, "Wow, Dad, that's great. Can I have a mac and cheese bowl?" And I went to watch cartoons after that.
That's awesome. No, really, where were you?
I was probably shitting my pants because I was like, that was
that was very nervous. Yeah,
that was right. That was overtime, right? That was
overtime after blowing a 3-0 lead and having like 3 straight delay of game penalties.
Oh yeah, that was the game. That was the delay of game.
That was the delay of game.
Oh yeah.
And that was after, people forget, but there was a moment early in overtime where they had a wide open net, and for some reason it sticks in my mind that Hornquist shot the puck, and for Jay Beagle got his stick in the way somehow. And deflected it away. It was a wide open net. Like, it was like minutes into overtime. That was just a very long night.
A lot of long nights on those runs.
Yeah.
Those 2 runs probably took a good combined 10 years off my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? I don't regret it.
Nope.
All right, moving on from those good old days, the talk of the good old days, to a question here from Kim. He asks, "Am I the only one on this podcast celebrating Liverpool's win Sunday? Who does Edward Beckham support? Heard something about 2005 in Istanbul." I have no idea what's going on here, but
so me being the journalist that I am, I did some investigative digging, and I do believe that both Kim Larson and Edward Beckham are both Liverpool supporters, which is sure to thrill Robbie and myself, as we both support Manchester football clubs. But boy, I'll tell you what, Man City's fight for the title, they have quite the march ahead of them, because they have to go through a gauntlet of, let me see here, Liverpool on March 10th. They get Newcastle in the FA Cup quarterfinals on the 16th. They get Arsenal on the 31st. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. I thought they get. Man United. They get United on March 3rd. So I completely missed that one. But yeah, they have.
That's literally Sunday. Yeah.
Oh God. I see. All the days are blending together. I just realized that. Yeah, that is going to play Sunday. So it is a gauntlet for City, putting up for their title fight here as we hit crunch time, or as NFL fans will say, the witching hour, if you listen to NFL Red Zone. But yeah, I think Edward and Kim are both Liverpool fans. Snail is like, I have no idea what's going on here. He is just shaking his head, and he's in fairy tale land right now. But we will move on to Andreas Castle, question 16, going to Robbie here. This is a very strange question. I've never seen it posed like this before. A cereal question for you, Robbie. Warm or cold milk? I prefer cold, but sometimes I like the warm variety, especially with Kellogg's Crunchy Nut. I have never had warm milk with my cereal.
I cannot. When I saw that, I'm like, no. Warm milk and cereal, no thank you. It's got to be cold. No, warm milk in general is not really my vibe unless it's hot chocolate. but no, I cannot do warm milk.
Didn't people back in the day used to drink warm milk before they went to bed?
Maybe.
Wouldn't you? I swear I've heard people say that, like a warm glass of milk to settle the stomach before bed. Which
Yeah,
that
that's
would
why half of
absolutely
them
make
died
me-
by the age of 50 because of some weird random disease.
I would absolutely soil myself in my bed if I drank a warm glass of milk before laying down for a
Yeah,
nice slumber.
no, I'm quite all right. Milk is not my go-to beverage in any form or fashion either, so. All right, Snail, your last question of this episode is from Andreas Castle. Again, what is your favorite metal band, if you like metal at all?
So yeah, I mean, I do like metal. I love talking music on this thing. As you guys, I've made it kind of clear. I'm more into like I'm kind of more on the pop punk side of things. I grew up with pop punk. It really kind of had its resurgence when I had a young moldable mind. But yeah, as I got older, I mean, I grew up during like, and Robbie can probably attest to this as well. Not Garrett. But I grew up during prime MTV years. Like MTV was like when I was like younger, early teenage years. MTV was like probably at its like peak before it turned into like more reality TV stuff. And there was a segment on MTV called Headbangers Ball. And if you're into any sort of alternative music, whether it's pop punk or metal, ska, even whatever, they have you would tune into Headbangers Ball, and they would do interviews. They'd play singles that came out. They would go over albums. They'd bring bands from the past on. It was an awesome segment. So with that, I grew up watching, which sounds probably kind of weird, watching music videos on TV. And Metallica was huge when I was a kid. I think that was like the first burned CD somebody gave me. Garrett, I know you don't know what that is, but Robbie would know.
I absolutely know what burning CDs is.
Yeah, I got a Metallica Ride the Lightning CD from my good pal Troy, and that was played to exhaustion. I mean, that's a phenomenal album. I'm not really a huge fan of many other albums of Metallica's. To this day, I'll throw it on. I call it drinking music. I like to have a few beers and listen to Metallica Ride the Lightning. Very influential, especially to a young guy like me. There's a lot of other metal bands I like too, spanning kind of a little bit more of it's not just pure metal. They kind of transcend into a little bit of other genres. Like some of them are more like maybe hardcore, or like there's even some deathcore, death metal, that kind of stuff. So Despised Icon, 3 Inches of Blood, Slayer, Merciful Fate, Pantera, Darkest Hour, Witness Chamber, Ingrown, High on Fire, Between the Buried and Me, Bury Your Dead. Those are I listen to those. I really enjoy all those bands and listen to them to this day. Oh, Disfiguring the Goddess. So those are the bands I listen to. Shoot me you should tweet at me on Twitter or whatever, X or whatever. What bands are you listening to out across the pond over there? I'd be curious. So, yeah, kind of a long list, but I'd be interested to know if maybe you heard of any of those guys. Maybe we can trade bands. Either of you guys into metal at all?
No.
It's from time to time I'll put something on Spotify. Black Sabbath. I really like prime Black Sabbath. If I get in the mood for it, yeah, that like I'll turn that on Spotify, especially while I'm working. I'll just go through a bunch of different genres while I'm working at my desk, and Black Sabbath will come on, and
phenomenal band.
I'll get the urge to eat the head off a bat. Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Black Sabbath too, great. But we'll move on here to our last question for this week's mailbags. It's coming from Kim Larson, and it's going over to Garrett here. And Kim asks, now that he spent so much time in the basement because of attitude problems, what needs the biggest rebuild then, Penguins or Garrett's basement situation?
I feel like maybe you two should be answering this question, since everyone always, even the listeners now, are putting me on blast for apparent attitude problems and my basement.
I love that this has become like Penn's cast lore is Garrett's basement.
Dude, we gotta print shirts. Garrett's basement with like
Yeah.
some sort. We gotta make some sort of graphic. Garrett's basement
with a
It looks
toilet
horrible.
and a pencil sharpener on it.
Oh, yes.
Apparently.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just a very Western Pennsylvania image, like in general.
If I ever get rich, I'm gonna buy a dive bar and call it Garrett's Basement.
Hey,
That's a good idea.
just give us all royalties and
Yeah.
No, you'll be there drinking.
Oh, okay.
We can't drink. We can't drink our own inventory. We have to try and make a profit here.
And we don't live in Seattle, so.
And we start, it's like Cheers 2.0, but it's a podcast that takes place in a dive bar called Garrett's Basement.
I think there's.
We should have a segment. We should just have a segment every week that's just Garrett's Basement.
Dude, that's an idea.
What? So what would the segment consist of? Like,
I have no idea.
see,
Not hockey talk. Maybe that's where we talk about pizza and metal bands and pop punk and various other things that go on in our lives, like on Family Guy, like grind your gears type thing.
That guy that got mad at us earlier in the season is gonna love it if he would listen to this.
he I guarantee he stopped listening back in like September.
Yeah, he was very mad. He was so mad.
He was so mad.
Oh boy. Well, all right, that'll wrap up this edition of the Skating Penguin Network Mailbag. We will be back next week. Next week is the be-all, end-all because a week from tomorrow is the NHL's 2024 trading deadline, and we will see what kind of action, what kind of moves the Penguins and Kyle Dubas make between now and then. But until then, until that happens, for Snail, for Robbie, I have been Garrett. Thank you so much for listening to this edition of the Skating Penguin Network Mailbag, and we will talk to all of you again very soon.